from everything I look at, this really is the zone. I mean, this is a killer. I mean, it's an absolute beautiful chart. It's the GMI Global Weekly Liquidity, so that's both private sector liquidity and public sector liquidity from the large global economies. I mean, it's just perfect. It leads by 10 weeks. M2 does pretty much a pretty similar job as well. So you've got that. You've got Bitcoin seasonality is always strong from this point onwards. I'm going to share another chart as well. Let's have a look at this one. And Bitcoin is also repeating what it did last year. I mean, literally perfectly. You know, so we've got the macro overlay. The Fed are going to keep cutting over time. The other central banks are going to be involved. We've got the seasonality in place. We've got the global liquidity cycle in place. I don't know what else is left. You know, it's kind of like it has to be now. Even the chart patterns, you know, usually you get 3 touches at the top, 3 touches at the bottom of a range. That usually works. So I think all of the elements are in play. Yeah, and that volatility probably happens close to the top of the trend. You know, before the breakout, you're kind of waiting around at that 70,000 Bitcoin level, 70 to 75,000, and it chops around frustratingly there. Before, I think either way, whatever the outcome of the election, it goes up afterwards anyway. We've seen that in the past. But we saw the last time Trump was in, obviously, because Trump is very tax light, very stimulative, and he's very pro-crypto, so regulatory stuff, both for tech and for crypto, that you feel like that could be an extra juice if that were to happen. And 2016-17 was the last Trump cycle. We didn't have the Fed actually easing liquidity massively. They were just starting to raise rates and they stopped for 2016-17. And it was the Chinese who were creating the liquidity, and the market went, you know, bananas-tastic in 2017. Let me give you a hopium chart. I just need to share
You'll need an Ethiopian chart.
It's an Ethiopian chart.
It does feel like to me.
That's ETH versus ETH last year. I can't find a closer fit. I can't. That's crazy. The other thing about the ETH Bitcoin cross is it's actually driven by the ISM and the business cycle. So you're kind of all in that point on a weekly, for those who like technicals, on a weekly DMARC count. ETH just put in a 13 low as well. It feels that everything is in place, but that chart is quite remarkable. Now, we know that these charts fall apart just when you want them the most to work. So expect it to not work, but it's just interesting contextually. I've been buying it just because I've been buying Xcopy and Beeple stuff, mainly Xcopy. You know, really my entire ETH portfolio is just NFT, digital art. That's it. And I'm comfortable with that, but I've got a very strong thesis on this that as the market cap of crypto goes up over time from 2 trillion to where I think it's going, which is 100 trillion, you're going to generate more wealth than any other trade in all human history in the shortest period of time. And that gets recycled into art. And, you know, I started buying Xcopy really in January and have been buying all year. That triggered a whole bunch of people. And I've shared the thesis a lot with people that, you know, the really culturally relevant things will be highly sought after first, but I think it will broaden out again. You know, art doesn't go away. And so we've seen Punks, Xcopy, and, you know, there's very little Beeple for sale at all. So those are there. Yes, Fidenzas have come down in price, and yes, some of the others have come down in price. But I think we will see a rotation. It's kind of like, if you think of Xcopy and Beeple and Punks as Bitcoin, you get Bitcoin dominance first, and as the market broadens out, it moves to the other layer 1s, layer 2s, and other stuff. And I think we'll see the same here. I think we will see a big uptick in art as we start going through all-time highs, not only in Bitcoin, but in the other big one, which is Solana, because that's what people have got a lot of. You know, we surveyed all of our hedge funds in Exponential Age Asset Management and XPAM, and the biggest trade is Solana. You know, I'm a mercenary when it comes to my own money, and I have for a while been thinking, all three of us have talked about this, is that this might be one of the chosen ones. And the reason being is that the team is world-class. They've built, scalable blockchains suitable for 3 billion people plus. I mean, these guys are world-class. They're a little bit technical. So the narrative was missing, but then started to come alive with narrative. But the reality is they've got the latency of the chain down to 600 milliseconds. It's stupid fast. They've now just building this walrus, which is a data storage layer, which is a separate token. But it's like basically AWS on top of, this whole move virtual machine idea. Then they've got Pilot Fish coming, which is their version kind of a Fire Dancer, which gives it kind of unlimited TPS. And they've got a very serious biz dev team. Obviously, we've just got Circle, and there'll be, I'm sure, plenty of others, whether it's in gaming or real world assets and other stuff to come. So they're just capturing mind share. Now, don't forget, this is a low free float. And once you capture mind share in a low free float, it outperforms by definition, because there's less of it around. You can have the same mind share for ETH. It's not going to go, it's barely going to move. So I know people hate low free floats. You're going to love them in a bull market and hate them again in a bear market because they're just super beta. So I think that's the point to realize. It's also super beta, capturing mind share. They seem to be executing well, and people are looking for the next big trade. Because as Ovi was talking about, people are kind of like, well, is the Solana trade over? What's the next big one? And so it feels like it's got everything right. I think I don't see what else is going to dominate. I look at the charts of SUI versus the top 20 tokens and a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't see anything that looks close to being able to compete with it for the time being. The only things coming are Monad and Berachain. Doesn't mean that Celestia and all this stuff doesn't go up a lot.
The crypto world is heading into the banana zone, and it could mean an explosive end to the year for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. That's the latest message out from Raoul Pal. With interest rates being slashed and the US election just around the corner, Pal, a leading macroeconomic strategist, has forecasted Bitcoin to reach between $100,000 and $200,000 by year's end. In a recent episode of Rec Radio, Pal explained that the Federal Reserve's decision to cut rates marks the beginning of a golden window for investors to capitalize, with roughly 18 months to potentially generate significant wealth. Although Pal's portfolio is heavily weighted towards Solana, he's also been buying Ethereum and expects Bitcoin to hit new all-time highs before 2024 close. Make sure to watch to the end of this video where Raoul breaks down why he believes that one altcoin will outperform them all this cycle. Also, if you enjoy listening to crypto-related content, please show your support by liking and subscribing to this channel by following the link in my bio, and get access to my free daily crypto updates and expert predictions direct to your inbox. Each newsletter contains market intelligence, on-chain data and latest updates from experts in the crypto space. All of this is available completely free of charge. Signing up only takes a moment and you can always change your mind later on. Now back over to Raoul Pal.
I had to go to Zambia to find the source of the banana zone, deep in the heart of the Luangwa River. And I spoke to the baboon tribes, and they assured me that the banana zone is coming, and maybe it's in the room with us now. The river was a bit dry, so I can understand the slowness of the bananas to ripen, but they are coming, and they're being sent down the river. And they will be here. You see the amount of work that I do in crypto for people. I mean, I risk life and limb for everybody to bring the bananas back.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe for news and expert predictions direct to your inbox.